Hi guys, we're going to start our second type of poem today. Before we do, I want to show you that my cinquain flower wreath actually did stick together. So that's what it actually turned out like. Now, I want to say that yours doesn't have to be anything like mine. It doesn't have to have that many flowers. I sent a picture of Hagen's out. Hagen put a little football on it. He put some flowers at the top and some leaves. He put his poem in nice and neatly, and it just looks wonderful. It reminds me of Hagen. Your poetry should remind me of you. Your poetry should not remind me of me. That's why I always hesitate to hang things up on the wall as examples, because I don't want 22 of the very same thing. I want you to be as creative and as original as you can be. So we're moving on to the next poem. Now, most of the time, kids your age will call it the diamond poem. It's the Diamante poem, if you want to be absolutely correct. So I need you to get out two things. I need you to get out this sheet, and there's actually two that go together, but we'll just be using this first one. So you need to have this handy with a pencil. And then in the other clip, paper clip, there are two things you will be needing. You will be needing this sheet where I drew the diamond for you, and you will be needing this full sheet of white construction paper. So let me just tell you a little bit about the diamond poem and how it is similar to cinquain and the difference. So instead of 5 lines, it is 7. The thing that is similar is because you start with a noun and you do the 2 adjectives and you do the 3 ing action verbs, and you work your way up from the bottom with a different noun, a different set of adjectives, a different set of ing words. So that gets you to this middle line where it kind of crosses over from the top to the bottom, and you have 2 words. You've got 4 blanks on that middle line, and 2 of the words go with the top and 2 of the words go with the bottom. So as you're reading along, it kind of transitions over. It is called a diamond poem because it ended up being shaped like a diamond. You start with one word here, and there's one word down here, and then it stretches out, and then it goes back. Okay, so I'm going to start by reading some excellent diamond poems by some former students instead of showing a video. So this person chose to do complete opposites. This person chose 2 different seasons. It says winter, cold jacket, snowing, cuddling, freezing, snow, shivering. Now it starts to switch over to the other season. Sweat, ride, because we don't sweat in winter, so you can tell it's changing. Swimming, camping, showing. Short, tank top, so the clothing changed. That's the season of summer. And that was written by Haley Overby. Still, I see Haley at ball games sometimes, and she just comes up and hugs me. This one was written by Kennedy Masterson, and she compared 2 animals, which is what we're going to do today. And we're going to use an art project. So she chose cheetah and fish. For cheetah, she put fast, mean, running, jumping, attacking. Great word. Savannah. Now, that she knows that word, but that's also where the cheetah would live. Hot. Now we're switching over. Pond, ocean, because that's where the fish lives. Swimming, moving, looking. She needed 2 more words here, so she might have put little and gills, just something to describe the fish and then the fish. And of course, they drew their pictures. That was Kennedy. Very good job. All right, let's look at Addison's again. This is Emerson's sister. Okay, so she chose 2 places, Disney World and Hawaii. So Disney World, she chose princess characters, eating, riding, buying, and you do a lot of buying when you're at Disney World. Cotton candy, Everest, and I believe that's a ride. So now we're transitioning over to Hawaii. Sand, ocean, running, swimming, playing, beach, ukulele, great word for Hawaii, and then Hawaii is her other place. So you see it makes the diamond shape. I told you she loves the beach. Usually she wrote about Rosemary Beach. That time she wrote about Hawaii. All right, this is by Mabry Birchfield. Now, Mabry did a very unusual one. She did a science one. She did liquids and solids. So she said liquids were unhard. Now, if she were writing along, I might have helped her to work that word, but I just like that she was trying to use a prefix and trying to really describe. That's why I say I want it to be you, not me. Waves, because liquids can create waves. Pouring, drinking, forming. Waterfall, lemonade, because those are examples of two liquids. Now, in the middle of that, we're switching over. Concrete, rock, those are solids. Hardening, driving, unmovable, that's a great word. Shape, hard, solids. And then she drew a liquid and a street as an example of a solid. All right. They're all good. I could have chosen. Now it's May 4th, so people are starting to say, May the 4th be with you. And this is Shelby Norris. She, I don't know if she still is, but she was the biggest Star Wars fan ever. Not even sure if I'm saying both of these names right, but she did Anakin and Ahsoka. And I remember that I couldn't say it back then, and she would correct me every time on the pronunciation because she knew. So Anakin, human, master, marrying, destroying, loving, mad, fearless. Now we're switching over to, it looks like maybe not a nice character, dark, fast, caring, fighting, trading, alien, Padawan, Ahsoka. And I'm not sure. They're both smiling. They could have been both very nice characters, but there they are. There's the saber. She loved Star Wars. This one I picked, this was Mara Burden's. And she just picked two very simple things, kind of like when we did the important thing. She picked desk and chair. Desk, wood, soft, using, holding, putting, screws, move. Now she's switching over to chair. Hold, legs, because a chair does have legs to hold you up. Sitting, squeaking, scooting, hard, metal, chair. And so she had her chair and her desk over here. So those are some really, really good examples of poems. Now, what we're going to do today is choose two animals because we're going to do an art project with it. And I want you to just really stop and think before you start writing, because the art project, you are going to have to make something that describes your animal using your construction paper. Some people like to choose an animal that has a certain pattern. Some people like to choose an animal that has a significant body part, like a wing or a certain kind of tail. Just, you can really, once I get started, I'll show you. And then when I finish, I'll talk about some examples of things that I've seen done before. Really just some amazing things, truthfully, that I've seen from a second grader. Very impressive. Okay, so I am just going to choose. I had an experience when I was probably a teenager with this animal, so I'll just choose this animal. And we are going to kind of go back and forth. So I'm going to choose a panther. And you might say, well, you had an experience with a panther? No one believes me. No one. But I was left at home one time I was babysitting a dog. And I promise you that a panther tried to attack that dog. So that's one topic. And then I'm going to come down here and I will do a different animal. Do something that I think has a certain kind of marking that I can make easily. I'm going to choose penguin. Okay? So what I want you to stop and think about, and it's okay if tomorrow you change your mind and you don't start your art project today. I'm just going to do it to show you an example. So I want you to stop your video now. I am going to write it on this sheet of paper. And you turn the video back on when you're back with us. Okay, if you're back with us, this sheet of paper should look like this. Now, I have to come up with two adjectives to describe, just like I did in the cinquain panther. Not even going to think about my bottom animal for a minute. So I will tell you that that night, I didn't even hear the panther coming. So I would describe the panther as silent until I opened the door. What I did hear was the dog that I had let outside for a minute flailing and throwing his body against my door, trying to get in. It was uncontrollable and barking. It was just so strange. I knew something was wrong. So I'm going to also write scary as an adjective because I do think they're a little bit scary. Then I'm going to come down here and work my way up. I'm going to think of two adjectives that describe a penguin. Now, I don't think penguins are scary. I think they're kind of funny birds. And one thing about a penguin is they are flightless birds, meaning that they don't take off and fly. Now, you have some penguins that can hop around on walks and flutter their wings, and it might appear like flight, but we call them flightless birds. So while I write my two adjectives top and bottom on this paper, I'd like you to stop the video and think about two things that describe your two animals. Okay, if you're back with me now we're headed to the ing words. We're going to do 3 action verbs with ing for my top animal and 3 action verbs with ing for my bottom animal. So I would describe one thing I heard when I got close to the door is I heard growling, not purring like a nice little kitty cat, like, and it scared me to death. But I still didn't know it was a panther till I opened that door. Crawling. Remember, I'm adding a suffix with a vowel. I have 2 consonants there, so I don't need to drop anything or double anything. And I probably would say creeping because it did move like a cat. When I saw it, it was like doing this. And boy, that when I opened that door, that dog just ran and hid to the back, and I saw those eyes and I slammed that door. I was scared to death. All right, let's talk about some ing words for penguin. Now, penguins, I would say sliding. The penguin word is tobogganing, but sliding's good enough. I would say diving. They dive for their food. They're in the water a lot. And I would say swimming. They're excellent at swimming. So that's my 3 ing words for my top noun, and that's my 3 ing words for my bottom. You can see the diamond coming into play. So I'm going to write them on my paper. You stop the video and think about your ing words and turn it back on when you're ready. All right, if you're back with me, the only word I do want to point out is swimming. I added a suffix with a vowel. Swimming was a short I, so I doubled the M. Now this is the only part that gets different, and I can kind of put a comma here if I want to remind me that the first 2 go with this topic and the second 2 go with this topic. That's when it kind of starts to change over. So on those middle lines, I'm looking for nouns. So with the panther, I would say it's covered with fur. So you can always talk about what your animal's covering is. And I would say it had claws, like all cats do, not just panthers. And if penguins, I would say it doesn't have fur. I would say it has feathers. And instead of claws, I would say it has wings. Now, you don't have to talk about body parts at all or coverings. Talk about sound. You can talk about anything. It just has to describe your animal. So once I have written this diamond poem, then I have to start thinking about my art project. The reason I don't start writing it on this sheet of paper right away is because I want to be sure that I know the words, that I'm not going to change anything, because it's just hard to start over on that sheet once you've started writing, even if it's in pencil. Okay, now we're going to start the art project part. So you need this sheet of paper. Kind of want to fold it in half. We won't be cutting. We want the fold. By the way, that's half, 2 parts, 2 equal parts. We want to show us where this will go. And for time's sake, I'm going to not just write this right now. I would want you to write it on here before you glue it down. Because if you glue it down and then try to start writing, it's kind of all bumpy and wet underneath. And sometimes it tears and it's really frustrating. I want to cut it out to show you that when I glue this in the middle and line it up with that fold, it's going to actually take up most of the space. So here's what I want to do about the panther. Remember, I told you to think about animals that you can describe with construction paper. So that panther was black. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to fold this in half. If I fold it in half, I know for sure that I can cover half of the white page because it's the same size. And I'm going to glue it all down. You don't need a ton of glue. It's paper on paper. I'm not so concerned of this showing as I don't want the white showing. Now, you have to kind of keep measuring back and forth. I don't want to glue this down yet, but the one thing about that panther was that yellow eye, that piercing eye. So I'm going to go back to the yellow that I used for my flowers. And again, I'm going to start over here in case I need my yellow. And I'm not really sure about the size. So I'm going to start, and that eye was kind of football shaped. So I'm going to just hold this all up. I think that's a good size eye. You don't want to glue anything down until you're sure. Now that eye, I could put black in the middle. I'm going to take this and make that pupil in the middle. Now, if I stopped right here, I promise you that someone would know that that's a panther just by those characteristics. But I'm going to add a couple more things. A panther has kind of a rounded ear, not a real pointy ear. So I am going to put like a rounded ear up here at the top. You can do whatever you want. I'll show you that you don't even have to put eyes. We're not looking for their face necessarily. Because remember, the poem is going to be right here. And since it's a cat, something else I might do for fun is just make some thin little strips. Can you guess what these are going to be? And if you said whiskers, you'd be right. So I'm not even going to put a nose. Just going to lay some whiskers in case somebody's confused about my animal. All right. Now that one is going to look like that. So I'm pretty happy with that. Now my other animal was penguin. So I've got to think, penguin. Well, the thing to me that distinguishes the penguin is the white belly and the black. So I'm not even going to go for the head part. You could make the face. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my other sheet of black and I'm going to cut it in half. And then I'm going to take this piece and fold it in half because I want it to be black on both sides and white in the middle. And since my background page is white, I don't even necessarily have to have white paper. So what I want to do is I want to make that look kind of rounded. So I put them both together, kind of cutting out just a little section like that. And then when I glue it down, I'm going to do it like this. And you'll see how the white background is just used as the belly. Now, again, I'm always checking, and it is okay that my whiskers are covered up a little bit, and it is okay that part of my white is covered up a little bit. I wish I could scoop this over a little bit and close this off. I'd rather this show because the diamond's going to cover that up and that be covered. Now, that's enough for a penguin, but a lot of times when people do birds, they do like to put that wing or that flipper on there. And I've got paper, so I'm going to add that out to the side just in case. I could have done their feet. I could have done the beak. My goodness, there's all kinds of penguins. So once I rewrite this poem on this paper off before I glue, then I will come back, put just a tiny, this is thin paper. This isn't even construction paper. And I will glue it in the middle. And there I have my art project with my animal diamond poem. Now, let me just tell you some of the things that I've seen. I've seen the simplest things look great, like zebra stripes, tiger stripes, something with spots. I've had a giraffe where they put orange and then brown spots. I've had a cheetah, leopard, anything like that. I've had a skunk with a stripe. But I have had some very elaborate things. I've had somebody make a peacock before, and really just the word that comes to my mind is just stunning. And I didn't tell them. I didn't pick an animal for anybody. And usually when I do an example, I hang it up and say, you can't choose penguin or panther because I want it to be yours. So this child did a peacock and made individual feathers, then cut out little colored circles and just looked up on her Chromebook, looked up what a feather looked like, and just had this array of feathers sticking out of the side. And it really was beautiful. I could not believe it. I've had a person ask me before for my hole punch, and I gave it to them. And they punched out and made a snake. They were making a snake skin, used all the little circles, got tired a little bit, started making bigger circles. That was fun, but it was just really elaborate. So you can make it as simple, or you can go all out. The main thing is that we get the poem written and that you choose two animals that you know something about. It's not a good idea to choose animals that you can't describe at all. It's okay for mom and dad to help you. I prefer you use the pencil to do the writing on the art project. They can definitely help you cut out and help you think of animals. So before you start, the main thing is what would be a really cool animal to describe with art? And then ask yourself, do I know enough about that animal, or can I look that up on my Chromebook and find out enough information to write a great poem? And I know that you can. I'm not worried at all. All right. I hope you have fun doing this.